The night market massacre chaos began without warning. Flames danced across the evening sky as screams echoed through the crowded marketplace. Alien vendors abandoned their stalls, precious goods scattered across cobblestones wet with spilled drinks and blood. The scent of burning fabric mixed with exotic spices created a haunting atmosphere of terror. Kira pressed her young daughter Naya close to her chest, feeling the child's rapid heartbeat against her ribs. The little girl's silver eyes reflected the orange firelight as she clutched her mother's torn dress. Around them, people ran in every direction, pushing and shoving in their desperation to escape the sudden attack. The raiders had come from nowhere, their dark armor gleaming in the firelight. They moved through the market like shadows of death, taking what they wanted and destroying everything else. Kira had been buying food for the week when the attack started. Now she could only think of one thing: keeping Naya safe. Behind them, heavy boots thundered against stone. Harsh voices shouted commands in a language Kira didn't recognize. She turned down a narrow alley between two collapsed buildings, her breathing sharp and painful. The wound in her side throbbed with each step. Warm blood seeping through her fingers, Naya whispered against her ear, "Mama, are we going to be okay?" Kira forced a smile she didn't feel. "Yes, my little star. Mama will keep you safe." But even as she spoke the words, doubt crept into her heart. Her legs felt weak, and the alley ahead seemed to stretch forever. From the main street behind them came the sound of breaking, glass and cruel laughter. The raiders were getting closer. Kira stumbled, her vision blurring for a moment. She caught herself against a crumbling wall, leaving a bloody handprint on the ancient stone. That's when she saw him. A human man emerged from the shadows ahead, tall and lean with weathered hands and kind eyes. His clothes marked him as a traitor, probably caught in the market when the attack began. Most humans would have run the other way, but this one stepped toward them. Joren had been loading supplies into his transport when he heard the first screams. His initial instinct was to secure his cargo and leave quickly. But something made him turn back toward the market, toward the sounds of terror and pain. He saw the alien woman first, her blue-tinted skin pale with blood loss. The child in her arms couldn't have been more than 6 years old, her small face twisted with fear. Behind them, the shadows moved with purpose. Raiders, hunting without thinking. Joren moved forward. He had no weapon except a metal rod used for adjusting his ship's cargo. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. The woman's eyes met his, wide with surprise and desperate hope. "This way," he said quietly, gesturing toward a side passage he knew led to the old temple ruins. Quickly, Kira hesitated for only a moment. Trusting a stranger went against every survival instinct. But the sound of approaching boots made the choice for her. Together, they disappeared into the darkness. 3 unlikely companions bound by circumstance and the simple human desire to protect the innocent. Sanctuary in the ruins, the ancient temple stood like a forgotten dream against the night sky. Its broken columns and crumbling walls offered shelter from the chaos behind them. Joren led Kira and Naya through a gap in the stone where ivy had grown thick, hiding their entrance from searching eyes. Inside, moonlight streamed through holes in the roof, creating pools of silver on the dusty floor. The air smelled of old incense and time itself. Joren helped Kira sit against a fallen pillar, her breathing shallow and labored. Naya remained, pressed against her mother's side, her small fingers tangled in Kira's hair. "Let me see the wound," Joren said softly, kneeling beside them. His voice carried a gentleness that surprised Kira. She had heard stories about humans that they were rough and uncaring, but this man's eyes held only concern. Kira slowly moved, her hand away from her side, revealing the deep gash left by a raider's blade. Joren whistled low under his breath. "It's bad, but not life-threatening if we treat it right." He pulled a clean cloth from his pack and a small bottle of medical gel. This might sting a little. As he cleaned the wound carefully, Kira studied his face. Human features were so different from her own people's, yet she found something comforting in his steady concentration. His hands were gentle but sure, like someone used to fixing broken things with patience and care. Naya watched everything with wide, curious eyes. "Are you going to make Mama better?" she asked in her small voice. Joren smiled at her, the expression transforming his weathered features. "I'm going to do my very best, little one." "What's your name, Naya?" the girl whispered. "And Mama is Kira." She pointed at her mother with obvious pride. "She's the bravest person in the whole galaxy." Joran nodded seriously. "I can see that," he replied, applying the medical gel to Kira's wound with gentle precision. "My name is Joran. I fix starships when they're broken." Kira felt warmth spread through her chest as the medicine began to work. When was the last time someone had shown her such genuine kindness? Since Naya's father disappeared during the war, she had faced the world alone. The idea that a stranger would risk his life for them seemed almost impossible to believe. "Why did you help us?" she asked, as Joran wrapped a clean bandage around her waist. His movements were careful and respectful, making sure she remained comfortable throughout the process. Joran paused in his work, considering the question thoughtfully. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said finally. "No child should have to watch her mother suffer when someone can help." He finished securing the bandage and sat back. "Besides, travelers should look out for each other." Naya smiled shyly at Joran. "Mama says humans are different from us, but you seem very nice." She leaned forward and looked at his hands with innocent curiosity. "Your fingers are longer than ours." Kira blushed softly. "Naya, don't bother our helper with questions." "It's perfectly fine," Joran chuckled, allowing the child to compare their hands with wonder. "I imagine we look pretty unusual to you too." He glanced at Kira, noting her elegant features and the way her silver hair caught the moonlight. Though kindness looks the same no matter where someone comes from, the words created a comfortable warmth between them. Kira felt her heart settle into a calmer rhythm. Outside, the sounds of the raid were fading, replaced by the peaceful quiet of the old temple and the soft breathing of her daughter. Naya yawned, exhaustion finally catching up with her after the frightening evening. She curled up against her mother's uninjured side, using Joran's offered jacket as a blanket. Within minutes, she was sleeping peacefully, her small face relaxed and trusting. "She feels safe here," Kira murmured, stroking her daughter's hair gently. "That's remarkable, considering what we've been through tonight." Joran settled across from them, his back against the cool stone wall. Children have good instincts about people. They can sense when someone means them no harm. His eyes met, hers across the small space, and Kira felt something shift in her understanding of the world. For so long, it had been just her and Naya against everything. The possibility of having someone else who cared about their well-being felt both wonderful and terrifying. "You should rest too," Joran said quietly. "I'll keep watch and make sure we stay safe." Kira wanted to protest, to insist she could take her turn standing guard. But the medicine was making her drowsy, and for the first time in months she felt truly secure. "Thank you," she whispered, settling back against the pillar with Naya warm beside her. "For everything." Joran smiled in the moonlight. "Rest well, Kira. Tomorrow we'll figure out how to get you both somewhere safe." As sleep began to claim her, Kira found herself thinking that perhaps the galaxy wasn't quite as cold and dangerous as she had believed. Sometimes when you least expected it, kindness could appear in the most unlikely forms. The hunter's pursuit dawn light filtered through the temple ruins, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. Kira woke to find herself leaning against Joran's shoulder, his arm wrapped protectively around both her and Naya. For a moment, she let herself enjoy the warmth and security of human contact. Joran stirred, his eyes opening slowly. "How do you feel?" he asked, his voice rough with sleep. Kira tested her side, surprised to find the pain had dulled to a manageable ache. "Much better, thanks to you." Naya stretched like a small cat, then scrambled up to peer through a crack in the wall. "The fires are out," she announced. "But there are still bad men walking around." Joran moved to look, his expression growing serious. The raiders hadn't given up their hunt. Among the searchers, one figure stood out, tall and brutal, with scars covering his arms and a cruel smile that never faded. This was Vex, the raid leader, and he was studying the ground with the patience of a predator. "He's tracking us," Joran muttered. Kira's blood ran cold. She knew of Vex's reputation. He never let valuable prey escape, and a woman with a child would fetch a high price in the slave markets. "We need to move," Joran said, already gathering their few supplies. But Kira caught his arm, her fingers surprisingly strong. "You don't understand. That's Vex. He'll never stop hunting us." Her voice carried a weight of old fear. "You should leave us here and save yourself." Joran turned to face her fully, his hands cupping her face with gentle firmness. "Kira, listen to me. I'm not leaving you. Not you, not Naya. We face this together." The intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. When had anyone ever fought for her like this? Naya tugged on Joran's shirt. "I have an idea," she whispered. "Mama taught me to hide in small places. There's a tunnel behind that altar stone." She pointed to the back of the temple, where ancient carvings decorated a massive stone slab, JCOR. Investigated and found she was right. Behind the altar, a narrow passage led deeper into the hillside. "Clever girl," he said, ruffling Naya's hair. "You might just save us all." As they prepared to enter the tunnel, Kira felt compelled to speak. "Joran, about yesterday, ... About what you did, ... Double quotes. She struggled to find the words. "My people have a saying, when someone saves your life, they become part of your heart. I want you to know that you'll always have a place in mine." Before he could respond, she leaned forward and pressed her lips gently against his. The kiss was soft, hesitant, but filled with gratitude and something deeper. When they broke apart, both were breathing harder. Mama kissed the nice man. Naya giggled, clapping her hands. "Does that mean he's going to stay with us forever?" Kira blushed furiously, but Joran just smiled. "If your mama will have me, little star." Outside, Vex's voice carried on the morning air. "Check every building." They couldn't have gone far with her bleeding like that. The sound sent them scrambling into the tunnel. Joran leading the way with a small light, Kira close behind despite her injury, and Naya bringing up the rear with the fearless curiosity of childhood. The passage wound through the hillside like an ancient secret. Carved symbols lined the walls, telling stories of love and loss from civilizations long forgotten. As they moved deeper into the earth, Kira found herself stealing glances at Joran's broad shoulders and wondering what it would feel like to have someone strong to lean on permanently. "The air is fresher ahead," Joran called back softly. "I think we're nearing another exit." Behind them, very faint but growing closer, came the echo of pursuit. Vex had found their trail. Heart's under fur, the tunnel opened into a hidden valley, green and peaceful as if the violence of the night before had never touched this place. A small stream bubbled through the center, and fruit trees heavy with ripe offerings provided both food and shelter. But the peace was deceptive. They could hear Vex and his men searching the temple behind them. Jore helped Kira down the rocky slope, his hand steady on her waist. The contact sent warmth spreading through her body, a feeling she had almost forgotten was possible. Naya ran ahead to splash in the stream, her laughter bright despite their danger. "We should rest here," Joran said, settling Kira beneath a flowering tree. "Your wound needs time to heal properly." He knelt beside her, checking the bandage with careful fingers. Their faces were close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. "Tell me about your world," Kira said softly, wanting to know more about this man who had risked everything for strangers. Joran smiled, lying back in the grass beside her. "Earth is beautiful, but lonely. I started trading between worlds because I was searching for something I couldn't name. And did you find it?" she asked, though something in his expression already suggested the answer. Joran turned to look at her, his hand finding hers in the space between them. "I think I'm beginning to." Naya splashed over to them, her clothes soaked and her silver hair gleaming with water drops. "Mama Joran, come play with me." But seeing them holding hands, she grinned with mischievous understanding. "Or you can keep making moon eyes at each other. That's fun too." Kira laughed despite herself. Where does she learn these things? Joran chuckled, pulling Naya down between them for a hug. "Smart children see everything, don't they, little star?" As the day grew warmer, they shared fruit from the trees and stories from their lives. Kira spoke of her homeworld, destroyed in a war that left her and Naya refugees. Joran told of his lonely years traveling the trade routes, never finding a reason to stay anywhere long. "I always wondered what it would be like to have a family," he admitted as Naya dozed in the dappled sunlight. to have someone waiting for you to come home. Kira's heart clenched at the longing in his voice. Family isn't always about blood, she said softly. Sometimes it's about choice, about finding people who see your heart and decide to stay. She looked at him meaningfully. Sometimes it happens in the most unexpected ways. Joran reached up to touch her face, his thumb tracing the elegant line of her cheekbone. Kira, I need you to know. What I feel for you, it's not just because of the danger we're in. It's not gratitude or circumstance. His voice grew husky. You're extraordinary, both of you. She leaned into his touch, her eyes fluttering closed. Show me, she whispered. Joran needed no further invitation. He kissed her softly at first, then with growing passion as she responded, her hands tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. Mama Naya said without opening her eyes, If you marry Joran, does that make him my new daddy? The innocent question made them both laugh, breaking the tension. But their peaceful moment was shattered by the sound of voices echoing from the tunnel entrance. Vex had found their escape route. Joran was on his feet instantly, scanning the valley for defensive positions or another way. Out there, he pointed to a narrow path leading up the far slope. But we'll be exposed crossing the valley. Kira struggled to stand, determination overriding pain. Then we better move fast. As they gathered their few belongings, Joran caught Kira's hand one more time. Whatever happens, I want you to know, meeting you changed everything for me. She squeezed his fingers. For me too. For both of us. Together, the three of them ran toward an uncertain future.
Oh.
But for the first time in years, none of them felt alone. Dawn of New Beginnings chase led them to the edge of a cliff overlooking the vast ocean. Waves crashed against rocks far below, sending spray high into the morning air. Behind them, Vex and his raiders emerged from the forest, weapons drawn and victory gleaming in their eyes. Nowhere to run now, Vex called out, his voice carrying the satisfaction of a successful hunt. Surrender the woman and child, human. This doesn't have to concern you anymore, but Joran stepped forward, placing himself between the raiders and his newfound family. It concerns me, he said firmly. They're under my protection now. Vex laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Your protection? You're one man against 6 trained killers. He raised his sword, sunlight glinting off the blade. Stand aside, or die with them. Kira moved to Joran's side despite her injury, her hand finding his. We face this together, she said, echoing his words from the temple. Naya pressed close behind them, her small hand gripping Joran's belt. The first raider charged, but Joran was ready. Years of dangerous trading had taught him to fight when necessary. He dodged the sword strike and landed a solid punch that sent his attacker stumbling backward. 2 more came at once, but Kira was there, moving with surprising grace despite her wound. They fought as a team, covering each other's weaknesses and moving with instinctive coordination. But there were too many attackers. Gradually, they were forced back toward the cliff edge. Vex watched with amusement until a stray blow knocked him backward. His face darkened with rage. Enough games, he snarled, pulling out a wicked curved dagger. I'll finish this myself. He lunged straight for Naya, knowing that threatening the child would paralyze both adults. But Joran threw himself forward, catching the blade meant for the little girl. The weapon sank deep into his chest, and he gasped, falling to his knees. No. Kira screamed, catching him as he collapsed. Blood spread across his shirt, dark and frightening. Naya began to cry, her small hands pressing against the wound as if she could hold his life inside. Vex raised his blade for the killing blow. But something unexpected happened. The sound of engines filled the air, and 3 sleek ships descended from the clouds. Galactic patrol, drawn by reports of the raid, the raiders scattered immediately, Vex cursing as he retreated into the forest. But Kira only had eyes for Joran, whose breathing was growing shallow and labored. Stay with me, she whispered, her tears falling onto his face. You can't leave us now. Not when we just found each other. Joran smiled weakly, his hand reaching up to touch her cheek. Not, not leaving, he managed. Just resting. The patrol medics worked quickly, stabilizing him for transport to their medical facility. As they lifted him onto the stretcher, he caught Kira's hand. "Promise me," he whispered. "Promise you'll wait for me." Through her tears, she smiled. "Always. We'll both wait for you." 3 months later, Jorn stood in the doorway of his newly purchased home on a peaceful colony world. His chest bore a thin scar, but his heart was whole again. In the garden, Kira tended to the flowers they had planted together, her movements graceful and content. "Daddy Jorn," Naya called, running to him with arms outstretched. The title still made his heart skip with joy. He caught her up in a hug, spinning her around until she giggled with delight. Kira walked over to them, her skin glowing with health and happiness. "Welcome home," she said, rising on her toes to kiss him softly. "How was your last trading run?" Jorn set Naya down and wrapped his arms around his wife. "Profitable," he said with a grin, "but not nearly as valuable as what's waiting for me here." As the sun set over their new world, painting the sky in shades of hope, the three of them sat together on their porch. Joran's sacrifice had saved them all, but more than that, it had given them something precious. A future filled with love, laughter, and the promise of tomorrow. Naya curled up between her parents, already half asleep. "Tell me the story again," she murmured. "About how you and Mama fell in love?" Kira and Joran exchanged a smile over her head. "Once upon a time," Joran began, "there was a very brave Mama and her little star, ... and as his voice carried on the evening breeze, their story continued, no longer one of survival and fear, but of hope, healing, and the endless possibilities that come when hearts choose to love against all odds."